The Fairly Odd Parents are rocking your box 20 to 9 tomorrow on CBBC Two. The cartoons kick off at 7 o'clock with the Cramp Twins, Watchman Chops, Yvonne of the Yukon and Arthur as well. Now then, don't miss the last in this series of Reggie's Mighty Trucker Stuff at 9 o'clock, and keep it here on CBBC Two for a very special commemorative drama called That Summer Day.
A Sunday of finals. First, the men compete for the biggest prize in tennis, the Wimbledon singles title, and then Italy, against all the odds, take on a revitalised France for the greatest prize of all, the World Cup. A Sunday of finals begins with Wimbledon at 2 and ends with the World Cup at 7 on BBC One, Radio 5 Live and broadband. Great stories begin and end on the BBC.
That is a mighty truck of cement, but tomorrow you can see the last in the series of the Mighty Trucker Stuff, and Reggie has got loads to give away just for you. As well as that, they got one of my favourite bands of all time. It's McFly on the show. As well as that, they've also got the stars of the new Alex Rider film Stormbreaker. There's almost too much to mention. It's going to be great, and it's on tomorrow morning, CBBC at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it.
The challenge to Wimby's Crazy DC.
Now, as many of you may know, 1 year ago today, London was shaken by a series of bombings. From all over the country, in the thousands, you emailed us your thoughts and feelings about what had happened. Today, on the anniversary of those events, CBBC presents a powerful and emotional drama set on That Summer Day. If you've been affected or are worried about anything you saw in that summer day, there is a special telephone number that you can call to talk to someone. That number is 08000 565 363. It's totally confidential and is free of charge. That's 08000 565 363. You're watching CBBC Two. Time now for Newsround.
Hello and welcome to a very special news round live from central London on the anniversary of the July the 7th bombings. Exactly a year ago tonight, the whole country was coming to terms with an attack that killed 52 people and left 700 injured. I'm live in Tavistock Square, which is where one of the bombs went off on a bus just behind me there. In a moment, we'll be hearing about how the whole country has been remembering what happened. But first, Laura looks back on a day that no one will ever forget.
London woke up on Thursday, July the 7th last year with a smile on its face. The city had just won the bid for the Olympics, and it was another sunny summer's day. Across town, millions of people were jumping on buses and trains on their way to school or to work. But then, just before 9 o'clock, everything changed. People staggering out of underground stations told of an explosion, several explosions. Many were still stuck underground. And there was worse to come. An hour later, another bomb, this time on a bus. As the emergency services rushed to help, the whole of central London came to a standstill. Buses and tubes were evacuated and people were told to stay away from the city centre. Slowly though, as the day went on, we began to find out more about what had happened. 4 men with rucksacks full of explosives had travelled into London from Luton. They'd then split up. 3 had got on underground trains, 1 on a bus. They'd set off their bombs, killing themselves and 52 other people. No one really knows why. In a video, one of the bombers had said he was unhappy that Britain has soldiers fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. all the bombers were Muslim, but other Muslims say that what they did was a disgrace. Now everyone hopes that by working together we can stop something like this from ever happening again.
Well, today events have been taking place to remember the 52 people who died here in London and right across the whole country. Lizo's been looking at how the anniversary's been marked.
This morning at 8:50, the time that 3 of the bombs went off, flowers were laid outside King's Cross Station, Aldgate and Edgware Road. At 9:47 at Tavistock Square, the site of the bus explosion, there was a ceremony of remembrance. And then at midday, 2-minute silence across the country. Announcements were made on trains and the underground. Buses and cars stopped. Play was halted at Wimbledon. In Regent's Park, people have been laying purple carnations within a big mosaic of a flower. Later this evening, there'll be a public ceremony with music and readings. At schools across the country, children are also remembering what happened this time last year.
I was really nervous, and I was nervous about my family and where they were and what was going on.
I think it's good to do what we are doing now through last year, because it shows respect to the people that have been hurt and the families.
I was worried especially for my father because he was around the area, and my mum and my sister because they were also around Edgware Road. But I was especially worried about other people as well, because it makes a big difference if you lose somebody or somebody's injured. It affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Well, one girl who was caught up in the bombings was Nima from Walsall in the West Midlands. Here's her story.
This was the day I was meant to be in London to collect an award at the House of Lords. I had delivered the best opposition speech in the Youth Parliament competition. I arrived at Euston Station with my history teacher, Mrs. Clinton. There was a bomb scare. The tube was shut. Someone suggested we take the bus, but we didn't know which one to take, so we bought a map and set off to walk to Westminster. We walked for about 10 minutes when I heard a huge blast behind me. We were in Tavistock Square. It was July the 7th. I turned. The top of a bus had been blown off. People were running and screaming. Then we heard about other bombs going off. News reporters were asking people what had happened. The award ceremony was cancelled. I was angry, not that I didn't get my award, but with the suicide bombers. I can't help thinking that in their heads they felt what they were doing was right, just trying to take revenge, but it's not right. It's given Islam a bad name. Islam means peace. A week later, I was at number 10 Downing Street to receive my award. Now I think I would like to be a politician one day, to show people the real meaning of Islam.
Well, that's it from me in central London for now. You can send your memories or your thoughts about today into the Newsround website, where you'll also find a guide on how to deal with upsetting news, and you can chat about it on our moderated message boards. Now though, it's time for some sports news. Let's go live to Jake in Germany for Sports Round. I'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon and welcome to Berlin, where the city's gearing up for the biggest football match in the last 4 years, the World Cup final on Sunday at the Olympiastadion. And after 62 games and 141 goals, it's been quite a tournament.
With the best teams in the world in action, you'd expect some top goals, and we haven't been disappointed. There have been some cracking strikes. This scorcher from Joe Cole was a highlight of England's campaign. Ronaldo took the record for scoring the most World Cup goals ever, but he's not in the running for the Golden Boot this year. The top scorers in the tournament include Germany's Klose and France's Henry. England fans will be left with some hope for the future, with players like Aaron Lennon and Owen Hargreaves looking impressive. We've also seen the darker side of football. There's been some really rough play and some pretty bad injuries. Michael Owen was a real loss for England, and it was really hard to see Bex limping off in the quarter-final. It's been a record-breaking tournament for bookings, with 16 in just one match when Portugal tackled the Netherlands, and both teams ended up playing with just 9 men. But the card that most England fans will remember was Rooney's red, and then a wink from Ronaldo. Over-dramatic diving has also marred the competition, with some players making the beautiful game look a bit ugly.
The other terror of the tournament has been the dreaded penalty shootouts, which put Argentina out in the quarter-finals and once again signalled the end of England's dream. Holland's early exit caused a ripple of surprise, as did Ghana's plucky performance against Brazil. But by the end of 4 weeks of football, one of the biggest surprises is how well hosts Germany did, only going out in the closing minutes of the semi against Italy. And not many people would have predicted a final showdown between France and Italy. Nearly 80,000 footy fans will be in the Olympiastadion here in Berlin for the match. We can't wait. It's going to be a very good final. Now, it's a good job there's no tennis being played here in Berlin today, because it is absolutely pouring down behind me. Now, I know there has been a bit of rain at Wimbledon, but there's also been a bit of tennis, which is good. Adam's there for us live right now. Afternoon, Adam.
All right, Jake, how are you doing? Yes, we did have some rain today and we had to wait a little while for the tennis to start, but when it did, it was amazing. World number one Roger Federer smashed past his opponent Jonas Bjorkman to get his place in Sunday's final. Watching it with us was Pat Cash, Wimbledon legend. He won back in 1987 and now he's a commentator for the BBC. Men's final on Sunday. Could anyone beat Roger Federer?
Well, it doesn't look that way, does it? But look, the other semi-finals on now, and Rafael Nadal, who's the young 19-year-old Spaniard, he is a fantastic player, and he's seeded number 2. Federer's number 1, and that's the sort of final we'd like to see, because Nadal's got a great record against Federer. He's beaten him on about 3 or 4 times now, and mostly on clay, but on hard court as well. Hasn't beaten him on the grass at Wimbledon. So we want to see whether he can do that, but it's going to be tough for him to beat Federer.
Yeah, and it's the ladies' final tomorrow. Amélie Mauresmo versus Justine Henin-Ardenne. Who's going to win that one?
Well, Henin-Ardenne is a Belgian girl. She's won 5 Grand Slams. She's never won Wimbledon. Neither of them have. So she's sort of the hot player. But Mauresmo, who's a French lady, both very talented players. Both very talented. But you've got to give the edge to Henin-Ardenne, and but again, that could be very interesting, very close match.
Yeah, have you got a match to go and watch now?
No, I'm off. Had enough for the day. I'm going to go on holiday.
It's tea time for Pat Cash. Great to meet you. Thanks very much for that,
Thank
Pat.
you very much.
And that's all from Wimbledon, where everyone's got their fingers crossed that it stays sunny for 2 more days. Back to you, Jake.
Thanks so much, Adam. Fingers crossed for a bit of sun here in Berlin as well. Some sun here will be lovely. What more can you ask for from a sporting weekend? 2 Wimbledon finals and the World Cup final. Make sure you join us on Sports Round for the build-up to the whole thing tomorrow morning, 11:45, live on CBBC Two. We're going to be coming to you from the Olympiastadion, where the World Cup final is taking place. It's going to be fantastic. I might even run on the pitch, as it's the last game. Listen, have a great Friday night and a fantastic weekend. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning for Sports Round.
Just in case you missed it earlier, CBBC has set up a special phone number where you can talk to someone about any of your worries or concerns following the drama That Summer Day that was shown earlier. If you'd like to phone the number, it's totally free and of course confidential, and is 08000 565 363. That's 08000 565 363. And if you'd like to know anything more about the events that happened on July the 7th last year, check out the website bbc.co.uk/CBBC and click on Newsround. Hello and goodbye, because that's it from our week-long tour of Television Centre. We've got to say goodbye to the roof, but hello to you tomorrow morning on CBBC Two, when you can catch the last of the series of the Mighty Tracker stuff. It's on at 9 o'clock, and before that there are loads of top tunes from 7. Make sure you turn over to the CBBC channel right now, though, for the Queen's Nose, Totally Doctor Who, and Andrew Hayden-Smith's Last Ever Time on CBBC. I'll see you next week. Take care. Goodbye.